Let's have a look at the ladder, Joey. I know this is your favourite part of our Sunday evening every week because Brisbane's loss has just left the door ajar on a top two spot, and Geelong's big win over the Bombers, they have crept up.
Yeah, I think Geelong have been the big winners out of the weekend now to jump up into second spot. I think right at this point in time, most people have Collingwood and Geelong as their top two seeds, and it's starting to really look that way. As you said, Brisbane open the door. You've got to remember with this ladder, the Gold Coast Suns actually have 2 games in hand. Yeah. So this is where it's a bit mucked up right at the moment. It's all over the shop. Collingwood have got the 1 game in hand. Gold Coast the 2. But clearly, as we said, the Cats were the big winners. GWS, I think, too, was significant. I mean, they would have been 9th if they'd have lost at the Gabba yesterday. They revitalised their season to some extent, and Fremantle just get away with the win to stay in the 8.
Just having a look at the top 9, which we've tracked the last few weeks, Geelong only played 2 top 9 teams on the way home. Wow. 2. You've got Collingwood who play 5, Brisbane play 6, and the majority of the rest play 4.
So you're saying they're a top 2 lock?
Cats, yep, absolutely.
Yeah. And a lot of them at home, GMHBA as well.
It's a fight for 3rd and 4th, really.
Yep.
And that'll allow them to manage some of their players. So they should hit September fit and healthy. We flip the page, Joey.
Yeah, well, the 9th contender still, obviously, is the Western Bulldogs. Carlton and Port Adelaide, to a certain extent, just breathe a little bit of life into their season, keep it alive, and then the rest now, as we say, I'm pretty sure we put a line through at Essendon, and we know they've got the 6 wins, but amazing, their percentage is the 3rd worst in the competition. Maybe a bit more of a reflection of where they're at.
So do you think that Carlton and Port Adelaide, the team's on 24 points, are they still in it? Are you saying there's a chance?
No, we'll say there's a chance for the fans. Carlton are probably more so because of the percentage. I mean, Port Adelaide are still 2 games and percentage out of the 8. So really, they've got to make up 3 games on those top 9 teams. I can't see that happening. Carlton with still a little bit of an opportunity against North Melbourne next week to continue to push up.
And West Coast with the #1 pick up their sleeve at the moment. And that's where we're going to start tonight for my first crack, because there is big news out of the West with the Eagles captain Oscar Allen going down with a suspected lower leg injury. Now, details still coming to hand, whether it's a calf or a plantaris injury. We will get more information, but at this stage it could be whether it's 2 weeks or 2 months. We'll find out more. But have a look at this vision. So this is way off the ball. You can see Oscar Allen there, the name tag, bang. It looks like he's been shot in the lower part of his leg and then goes down. So we know that he's a critical part of this list build. We all expect the captain to join Brisbane at the end of this season, and that will give the Eagles pick 2. They've already got pick 1. His departure to Brisbane would give them a pick 2. Now, on one hand, I can see the list manager, Matty Clark, saying, get him off, warehouse him for the year.
Hang on.
Protect the asset, King.
Hang on. You've banged on about this before.
What's a risk?
Just hold for a sec. About 6 weeks ago, you put this on the radar. I want to have a listen to the discussion with you guys about whether Oscar Allen should actually be playing for the Eagles in the back half of the year.
He's a leader for this football club. Do you give any thought, either from West Coast or from Oscar Allen, to pull the pin on this season? Or am I being a bit mischievous there?
I'd have the conversation. I'd have the conversation and see what's best for everyone, for all parties.
The West Coast have got to make the best decision for their football club. They don't want any injury impacting the likelihood of getting picked 2. Yeah, I just think it'd be an uncomfortable feeling for the AFL community. We're not ready for this. Back in May, you were ahead of time on this one.
Well, you were a bit soft, King.
I was very soft. Not as soft as Joey.
I should have gone harder. I sat on the fence there. I said I'd have the conversation.
But you're ahead of this.
Yeah.
So having seen what's happened today,
I think it's...
doubling down.
I don't think he plays again. I don't think he plays again for the season, where he sits out 3 weeks, 5 weeks or 8 weeks. I think his season's done, and this is where we've got to have a mature conversation where Oscar Allen's got to sit down, much like Bailey Smith last year, and put him on the bench for the final 2 months, in the understanding that he's headed to a new club, and that's going to deliver him pick 2, which is the best thing for this football club.
Even if it's a 2-week injury, you're saying, yeah, that's it.
Well, how do you think they all would have felt?
Doesn't look a 2-week injury, though, to be honest.
They've had the heart murmur.
Yeah.
They've had the murmur.
Heart murmur?
Yeah, well,
that's a heart attack.
No, the attack's coming. So you've just got to put him on ice for a while.
And when you say, well, he's our captain and culturally we need him to lead the team, like the hostage situation where they forced him to do the press conference, like I think that showed sort of probably, you know, the issue or the disparity between where the player and club was at. So as difficult as it might be, I think the best thing for West Coast is to protect your pick 2, and today's should be the last time we see him, because of this. Because when he went down, we all thought Achilles. We all thought 12 months.
It still could be.
Could be.
And it could be, that's right. We'll get more information. You'll have the scans. So if you're Brisbane...
Yeah.
right, and just let's say it is a serious injury, would it be enough for you to...
Yeah,
would it shake your faith in the move?
Absolutely, yeah. This is a business, and I know it is a ruthless business in a lot of ways, and the player's not absolutely done until it's signed, sealed and delivered, and that's not in season. And we've had this chat, so I'm a little bit with the club on this one, not necessarily all in good faith, but
What does Brisbane want?
I think the West Coast fans want to work out where they sit with this. Are they saying, you know what, we want pick 2? We actually understand you're warehousing this guy because that's the betterment of our football club.
Yep.
Not having him banged up and potentially ruining the opportunity for trade.
Because Brisbane could still take him, but they could take him on a reduced offer. Still, couldn't they, if they were concerned about his injuries, which could still take pick 2 off the table, can't it? If they reduce what they were going to pay him.
Do you think they would reduce?
I don't think they would. I think the clubs would act in good faith. I think Brisbane would commit to, if they have committed to wanting Oscar Allen and they've sort of made their offer and they've met with him, I think they would stick to it. But it's something West Coast have got to consider.
But you're talking like $1 million a year.
Yeah.
So it's a big investment. It's not
a huge investment.
I'm ruthless. I'm the Brisbane Lions and saying, OK, do we absolutely... If this is an Achilles or worse, and we're jumping it ahead of time here, do you change tack and then chase a Harry Mackay?
Well, pick one. If you're the Brisbane Lions, you tell me, who do you think... Who would you be more confident in? Would you rather... Oscar Allen for nothing because he's a free agent, you get him without giving up a draft pick, or an early pick for Harry Mackay? Which of the two commodities would you prefer?
You're in the window to win it, right? I'm not looking at saving money here or saving a pick here. I'm going all out to win it.
Yep.
They're ripe, they're there.
Yep.
So whatever player you think is going to bridge that gap or give you an area of advantage.
Which for you is who?
Is Harry Mackay.
Yeah, OK, let's have a listen to the West Coast coach Andrew McQualter after the news post-game.
We think it's not too bad, so we're still going to work through the details exactly, but we're hopeful that it's not serious. No, I'm not exactly sure. It's not a calf or a hammy, I don't think. I'm not exactly sure. It might be plantar fascia, is that right, Belly? Or plantaris, right. So that's what we think at the moment, but we'll still work through the details and get a report early in the week. Always concerning when someone goes down like that off the ball, but no, I don't know the exact details of it. Obviously saw him come off, and then our medical team just briefly said that we've avoided all the worst case scenarios and we'll work through what's next. Significant, because I think when you see a player go down, no contact off the ball like that, you think the worst. I think there's been a couple of cases of that this year, so fortunately he's avoided that. Yeah, look, he's okay. He was. Well, everyone that gets injured is a bit emotional, and that's just normal. And we lost a game of footy, but he's okay.
So West Coast clearly hoping it is minor. We wish Oscar Allen well in his recovery.
Have you heard of a player getting emotional that's not a serious injury? Very rare.
Yeah, rare. It is rare.
Your captain Nick Rewalt.
Yeah.
Cried back in Brisbane.
He busted his shoulder. He busted his shoulder.
He's an emotional guy.
Yeah.
The game was interesting, wasn't it, Joe? Because the Blues absolutely jumped out of the blocks again.
It was Groundhog Day, wasn't it? This was Carlton, the first quarter. We thought, wow, how good's this? They looked fresh. They looked on top of the ground. The handball game was moving beautifully. Their transition was working. They were hitting targets, and we thought, this is the Carlton that we've been waiting for. We've been expecting this. This was early. These first couple of clips were all from the first quarter when they were dynamite. They kicked 7 goals 4 to 1 goal 1. They kicked 4 from the back half. They were winning the ball back. They had 24 inside 50s in the first quarter to 10. It was really, they destroyed West Coast Eagles. They broke their hearts really early, and we thought this was going to be a procession. How much were Carlton going to win by? A real opportunity for potentially Charlie Curnow to fill his boots. We know he hurt his calf. But then from that moment on, the game just petered out. It was 6 goals to 5 in favour of West Coast. So West Coast won the next 3 quarters. I'm disappointed, if I'm a Carlton fan, to see that first quarter again, like they did against Essendon, and not continue to put the foot down.
Why?
Again, get beaten in the second half. I just don't think that what we've seen this year, they can sustain that brand of football for 4 quarters. That's just fact.
Physical thing or a mental thing?
I think it has to be a combination of both.
Yeah.
Can't sustain under pressure. So when it comes a bit slower and you're not as fresh on top of the ground and it becomes a bit more challenging fatigue-wise, they can't play the way they want to play.
Plus 20 contested possessions at quarter time was their second best quarter of football in 5 years. Wow. It was dominant. So when you look at it from the flip side, I think the West Coast Eagles, it was as timid a performance as I've seen in a quarter of football. Wow. And I felt a little bit for the coach who's trying to inject a new system and a new plan. They fumbled, they overran the ball, they looked like they were avoiding contact. They had eyes up for what was coming at them rather than taking the ball cleanly, regularly. Who should win this ball? There's 5 Eagles there. and they all just hover. They all half-step. They all ensure that they're going at a speed that gets there second. And this happened for 30 minutes. This is unacceptable. It lacks tackles, and then he gets up and then just walks. Really, that's not AFL level. That's not AFL intensity. And the coach needs to make a statement. You've got to drop some of these guys. Here, where are your eyes, Tim? They're at the oncoming Carlton players, not at the footy. Where are your eyes? What are you doing here? What's that? Bodyline the ball. This happened for 30 minutes. And I agree with the coach, who was ruthless at quarter time, because you can't accept this. This is a strong, proud football club that won't cop this for a long period. And the only real lever you have at the moment is selection. So I can't wait until Thursday night to see if Andrew McQualter is going to live with this or he's going to stamp it out at round 14.
Well, I think he was pretty upset. Let's take a listen with his quarter-time exchange with Kath Loughnan.
Andrew, what was the gist of your quarter-time message?
We were pathetic in the contest.
That's the first pathetic one we've heard since Malcolm Blight. That reverberated for decades. Is that going to happen with Andrew McQualter as well? That was very strong from you, Kingy. Also, Charlie Curnow, the Carlton great, twinged his calf also. The Blues hopeful it is minor. Curnow said he's expecting to play against North Melbourne off a short break this week. You think that's a
touch
bit of
and go. Yeah, that's 50-50 at best.
Yeah, you would think so. Could be a very smaller forward line for the Blues.